I'm Mandy.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is The Coop.
This is Coop Faves, where we share our favorite homeschooling resources and adventures.
Today's fave is this very thin book called The Encyclopedia of Ordinary Things.
Ooh, how ordinary.
I know. My kids are enraptured by it. It's packed with extraordinary information, I have to say.
Nice.
So what is it? It's a reference book that enlightens you about ordinary things starting at prehistoric times.
Oh.
And then the author and the illustrator from the Czech Republic.
Okay.
So I just thought that was an interesting fact. And the pictorial chapters.
Ooh.
So I'm just going to show you. They have basically mostly pictures and then a little bit of writing next to each thing. But what I love is they show the item. So let's say glasses. They show the item in prehistory, then ancient Egypt, then ancient Rome, ancient China for this one, 13th to 14th century, 15th century, 18th century, 20th century.
Yeah.
And they have the timeline at the bottom.
It's a bit of an evolution of the product.
Yeah, it's really cool. And the kids are fascinated. So and here's a fun fact, for example. The early toothbrushes,
yes,
they were chewing sticks.
Right.
That frayed into a brush. These chewing sticks they found inside the Egyptian tombs. Like they cared about dental hygiene for their afterlife.
Right.
And that's in here. And so the kids, they hear these little fun facts that are fascinating.
That's awesome.
So here are the objects that they do. I'm just going to read to you from the table of contents. They do shoes, skates, umbrellas, glasses, dolls, perfume, horse toys. And they're not toys for horses. That's what we thought. But we just did this one the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rocking horses.
Oh.
And for example, and then with the rocking horse, then they always have an extra page of related items. So then they talked about like the rocking chair.
Okay.
And then toilets, toothbrushes, beds, and tights.
How funny.
So like when they did toilets, they have an extra page. So they have a few pages about toilets, and they'll have an extra page about maybe bathtubs and bathrooms and things like that. And so, but the art is pretty elegant and well done. It's not bare. It's mature art, like nice, elegant art. And it works for a range of ages. Like my youngest is 7, my oldest is almost 12, and they're fascinated. I'm fascinated, and I'm an adult.
Exactly, because it's things that you didn't learn about.
Yeah, so it's just a simple book, and what I like about it, it's thin. It's about less than an inch thick.
Oh yeah.
And so it's easy to hold for all all ages of hands. It's about $15 to $20. Okay, here's the 3 reasons why it's our favorite. One is it adds depth to ordinary items and connects you with history when you use them. So
that's cool.
Did you know that in the Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci invented the first toilet that flushed? It didn't get produced or didn't get put into practice, but he created it or invented it for the king.
Yeah.
And so now when you flush the toilet, think of Leonardo da Vinci.
Perfect.
So you're here, okay, the number 2 exposes kids to historical language, people, and time period sequence in a fun, funny, and pictorial way. So the timeline I showed at the bottom, they get to see it evolve. Mm-hmm. They get to hear about the Baroque period. They get to hear about centuries, and you can talk about how it goes, back 100. The century doesn't match with the number.
Sure.
And just people's names like Leonardo da Vinci and whoever else they mentioned.
That's awesome.
Third, it helps kids appreciate the modern conveniences in their everyday life. So many times I've heard my kids say, I am so glad I didn't live back then.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm so glad we have this now. Like beds, when we learned about beds, they're just like, oh, I'm so glad I have my bed.
Right.
Okay, so how we use it, it begins our school day. So if you check out our Mrs. Wordsmith Word a Day, it's the same idea. So we sometimes pair it together. It's a nice way to start your day. It's positive, it's fun.
Yeah.
You actually feel a lot of gratefulness because you have these conveniences. And it's great for discussing that.
Totally.
Number 2, one child gets to pick one chapter for me to read aloud that day. So we don't do the whole book.
Right.
They only have interest for the one chapter because it actually takes about 5 to 10 minutes to read and then discuss. And if you wanted to watch a video, you could pair it with that.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go in order. That's what I love too. You can just pick according to their interests. So when it's the child's turn, so when it's Ruby's turn, she might pick dolls.
Yeah.
And then we read dolls that day. And then sometimes they'll say, no, it's my turn to pick. And they're excited to have a turn. And then lastly, if you're going to be studying world history anytime soon, this is a great book to expose your child to life like it was throughout the ages.
Oh, sure.
And then they can picture it a little bit more. And then you can pull it up and say, remember, these are the glasses they're wearing.
Right. This is the time.
Yeah, these are the dolls they're using. This is what their bed looked like. And so you could do that throughout time. Or if you're already studying world history, you could start off your lesson with that.
Right.
And so there's other products that this author does. They have one coming out in November, the Encyclopedia of Ordinary Living, and it's living spaces.
Nice.
So I already have pre-ordered it.
Of course.
And then she has another one with a different illustrator called Musical Instruments. She has colors of habitats.
Nice.
And then she has Means of Transport That Changed the World, which is meant for older kids, but the art is beautiful. It's a different illustrator, but the art is beautiful. And just hearing her humor, she's so funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, hearing her humor about it is really fun. So I'm expecting that in the other books.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
That's it. That's the Encyclopedia of Ordinary Things.
Love it.
Thanks for listening. We love your support. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast, leave a rating and review to let us know how we're doing, and share our podcast with your friends who need a little community, humility, and joyful fun in homeschooling.